Hello, this is Evangelist Dr. Robert L. McKim Sr. from Carrollton, Ohio. But first off, I wanted to mention something that happened on Thursday night, Thursday night. Around about close to 10 o'clock at night. Queenie, which was my parents' cat, that they had her since she was born in July of 2004, and shortly after she was born, then midnight, she was outside. I've seen her like running around outside, and then she wanted to come in my mom and dad's house trailer, and eventually she came in and she became part of the family. And then after my mother passed away in 2009, and my dad decided to move out about a year later, we of course we bought this house trailer. So Rene said we'll take midnight, because my dad didn't want to take midnight with him. He only wanted to take Queenie with him. So my parents had Queenie's mother, Queenie's brother, who was found dead later on outside of my mom and dad's house trailer one day. My dad found him out there dead, and midnight. Well, Queenie's mother, basically, she died as well. Oh, and so my dad just had Queenie in midnight. We took midnight in when my dad moved out. We had midnight and up until first part of 2020, before the pandemic kicked in and the lockdown and all that. She got sick and depressed and didn't want to eat and drink, and so we had to put her to sleep. With Queenie, she was eating well for the last few months. Then one day she stopped. She didn't want to eat. And I took her to the vet. Guys, I had the stimulus money. Took her to the vet. They ran blood work. Said that her thyroid was... there was something wrong with her thyroid, and her kidneys were, failing. Because she was 17 years old. Well, at the time, going on 17. July, she became 17, so she was a little bit more than 17 years old. Anyhow, she had slowly went downhill. She was having seizures. Every time she'd try to itch herself in a certain spot, she would go into a seizure. She ate. She had a good appetite up until like maybe a week. Well, last past week. Then she kind of decided she was eating, but not a lot. She was, she would eat and drink. She was wanting milk. Every time I opened up the refrigerator, she would go sit in the refrigerator until I gave her milk. It was like milk was the only thing that was honestly keeping her alive. But eventually later on Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, she went under the bed and she didn't want to eat and anything or drink anything, and she came out from underneath the bed and she was laying on the floor at the foot end of the bed, and then next thing I know I heard her flump over and hit the bed and gasping for air. She was dying. She was basically giving her last breaths. And Rene, she was pretty upset. She wanted to hold her. So I put Queenie on Rene's under the hold, and then Queenie, of course, gave her last breaths and gave up her spirit. She went home to be with my parents in midnight. As you can tell, I'm still, when you love somebody or something, and they, even though they go home to be with God and the ones who went on, you know that they're in a better place. You still want that comfort that they were giving you. Each of our cats had a different personality. They had a different spirit about them. And they can't be replaced. Just like your human children, they all have different personalities. And they can't be replaced. So, anyhow, Rene, like I said, she took it hard, and she's in the hospital recovering right now from whenever there's a death in her, because she was like this when her grandfather passed away, and she, of course, was able to make it to her grandmother's funeral and then her sister's funeral. She still cried, took it hard, but it's harder when you're with somebody when they pass away, or something like a fur baby. And then let me get on to the other thing I wanted to talk about. My God is a good God, and He is an The scripture says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." Vengeance is mine. It doesn't say "Avengers is mine." He said, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." But some people's like, well, I'm saying it wrong, that God is my avenger. Well, if you want to look at it like that He's an avenger, but He's a just God is what He is. He's a just God. But say you can't get that, because you're like, oh, He's an all-loving God. He's a just God too. He pours down His judgment or pours out his judgment upon land and people. But you don't get that because you don't want to get that. Because you don't understand God. Even though God had created science, you still don't get it because you don't understand that part of science. You don't want to understand that part of science. Why would you want to understand the science of God when you can't really explain it? You only want to understand what you can explain. You don't want to explain. You don't want to understand the supernatural. You want to understand the natural. Because the supernatural goes over your head and under your feet. You don't want anything over your head or under your feet. You want everything that you can prove without a shadow of a doubt. But God has been proven many times over that His word is true. He says, "Vengeance is mine. Give it over to me, and I will repay." Well, you know, some people say, well, you don't have to go to KIWI Farms to, you know, see what we're saying. I don't see, I go there because, for one thing, they say a lot of things that isn't true. They say a lot of things that, just isn't true, and makes me laugh at how they say it. Because they think it's true when it's not. But here is what is true. KIWI Farms has been basically getting hacked to the point now that KIWI Farms is shut down. And they can't even get back into the server now. So they mentioned it here on their Twitter page. Right here, it says right here, the situation is this: the site is knocked offline, so it's not online now. There are multiple concurrent DDoS attacks. The data center has been unable to connect to my router, in with COM port. They don't have a way for me to get in right now, and the weekend is making their help expensive. So basically, KIWI Farms is offline now. And of course, they're talking here about Christian Weston Chandler being arrested. But the thing is, people, God is a good God. He uses people to serve His justice upon the wicked. Some people will say, "Oh, that's wicked for them to do that." Is it wicked to take out the wicked? Is it? Is it wicked to take out the wicked? Is it wicked to punish the wicked? No. It's called justice. And justice will prevail sooner or later. Sometimes we have to endure until that happens. I've been enduring their wickedness for, well, several years now. And now they're offline. They still wreak havoc by doing things in my email. But I'm always on top of what they're doing. And sooner or later, they'll probably get tired of that too. Because if they know they can't win, sooner or later, they'll have to give up. Because Satan, his demons, and everybody that does Satan's will here on earth knows that there is a fiery pit waiting for them. But sometimes it seems like they just don't care. Well, I don't want to be on here too long. I just wanted to say this, a little bit here about Queenie passing away and what's going on here with KIWI Farms. God bless you. Have a blessed day. I know I will.